welcome. I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm grateful you're here. Dr. Arnold Nerenberg, 76 years of age. I've been a clinical psychologist for over 45 years. I've been called America's road rage therapist. I testified before Congress on the issue. I've been interviewed literally thousands of times, been on many shows, on Montel, Bill Maher's show when it was called Politically Incorrect. Been interviewed just thousands of papers, the People magazine, New York Times, and so forth. And people said I coined the term road rage, which I didn't. I did popularize it. I also did find the cure for road rage. I found out the causes and the cures, the one cure and the six causes. And I developed a set of tests to measure profiles for people who have different types of angry driving profiles. We found that it's been found in the research that 2/3 of all deaths in America are due to aggressive driving. So we have 41,000 deaths a year on our freeways, roughly. Some years it's more, some years it's less. 2/3 of that's 29,000 due to aggressive driving. What does that mean? That means in 3 years we lose more Americans than we did in the Vietnam War, the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, the terrorist attacks, and all the floods and fires and hurricanes and tornadoes put together in the 3-year period. We lose more Americans due to aggressive driving in 3 years than we did in the war in Vietnam, the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, the terrorist attacks, and all the natural disasters we had in those 3 years, in any 3-year period. Any 3-year period since the war in Vietnam. So what we're saying is the most dangerous thing that any American will ever do will get into his vehicle, will get into her vehicle. And this isn't some abstraction that you need to hear me say it. We're in Southern California here. Whenever you're on the freeway, unfortunately, there's traffic. It's not just because there are a lot of cars. There's been some collision. You've got the paramedics, you've got an ambulance, you have a tow truck, you have the police, maybe the fire department. And as you're driving by, you're seeing parts of cars strewn all over the road. Unfortunately, sometimes we see bodies laying there. And this is not, once a year you'd see this. This is like almost, if not every time we're on the road. So you're seeing this all the time. So as horrible as these losses we've had in the wars and terrorist attacks and so forth, this is greater. This is a national disaster. So it's part of our patriotic duty to save lives on American roads. We could also saving American lives on American soil, saving Mexican lives on Mexican soil. Wherever country you want to talk about. The problem isn't just here in America, it's here in Mexico, Latin America, Middle East. One of my early interviews was in China and on the Singtao Daily News out of Hong Kong. The whole article's in Chinese. You see a picture of me, the word in English, road rage. They were there. In England, they flew me over. They wanted to do a pilot study to maybe have an ongoing show on road rage. The British have a problem. I mean, it's all over. I've been interviewed in German newspapers, French, all over the world. These problems are going on. Enormous deaths. We had, maybe 100,000 Mexican people being killed due to drug laws and drug wars in Mexico. We lose more due to aggressive driving than that over the same period of time. So we found that in my research, where we interviewed at the Nuremberg Institute 1,500 people, we found that there were 6 causes. 2 of them go under endangerment. People get most angry if they feel in danger, which involves being cut off by another driver or tailgated. That's the biggest cause. Those 2 are the biggest cause of people getting angry. So we have angry driving is one form of aggressive driving. Felonious angry driving is road rage. So angry driving could be something like flipping somebody off, obscene gestures, screaming at them, flicking your headlights up and down, tailgating out of retaliation, cutting the person off out of retaliation. But if you crash your car into the person or brandish a weapon or assault the person, then we're looking at felonious angry driving, which is road rage. And then aggressive driving includes angry driving, but also includes some other behaviors like speeding or cutting in and out as you're driving somewhere. But a lot of us angry driving, and we found that 53% of Americans have an angry driving problem. Not just that they're upset with keeping it to themselves, they're expressing their anger to other drivers. Beeping the horn. You beep your horn, the guy turns around. Maybe he turns around. Somebody on that side turns around. Enough people are doing that. We found 53% of the people do have this problem where they show it 2 or more times a year. And voila! All those collisions you're seeing on the freeways, that's what it is. Because over half the people are doing it. Whenever I give seminars, and I've given seminars to it doesn't matter, I've done it for judges, I've done it for major corporations, 53% of the people are going to have the issue. I always tell the audience, half of you are going to tell me you have a problem when I ask for a show of hands. Half of you are going to have a problem. You're going to laugh a lot during this seminar on road rage. And you know why? Not because I'm funny, because you're going to find the stories funny. It's this little old lady is going to tell you, I flipped the guy off, I got so mad. You're going to think it's funny. You're going to laugh. But I'll tell you what, 100% of you are going to agree you want to overcome the problem. 100%. But it took me 2 years to find out how to get everybody to buy into it. So I'm going to talk, so the cure, I'm going to tell you about the cure in a minute. But the causes, so endangerment, the 2 types of endangerment is the main cause of people getting angry on the road. Cutting them, bursting off, tailgating them. Slowing somebody down makes people angry on the road. Somebody's anger directed at you, flipping you off for what they think is a good reason, you don't like it. It gets you angry. Some people feel like an instructor. Somebody went through a light, they catch up with them, scream at them, whatever, trying to teach them a lesson. And then somebody taking your parking space, you've been waiting for that parking space, somebody pulls in, takes it, you get angry over that. So those are the 6. Cut off angry driving, tailgating angry driving, parking space angry driving, profiles. We have tests to measure all of these. I have some of the tests to share with you now. Impatient angry driving, somebody slowing you down. Instructor angry driving, when you feel you got to teach the person a lesson. Parking space angry driving, they took your parking space. I'm going to go into the cure. What I want to focus on right now is I created 6 angry driving profiles, but the master one, the mother of all profiles, is called parented angry driving. I have a parented angry driving profile measuring how much you saw or witnessed your parents, your mother, or your father showing anger on the road. I'm not talking about feeling private anger or being annoyed or mumbling something. I'm talking about expressing anger actively to another driver. Turns out that angry driving is no respect of profession or age or socioeconomics or what kind of car the person is driving. They can have a Rolls Royce or a beat up old Ford. That's not a factor. We found the main variables to determine whether you're going to be an angry driver or anybody's going to be an angry driver is parenting. If your parents are angry drivers, you're more prone to be an angry driver. So we have a test to measure parenting angry driving, and that shows the risk factor for you having angry driving profile. So if somebody, even before they're driving, they haven't even taken the test yet, but they've seen a mother and father show angry driving, you know that person is at a much higher risk for becoming an angry driver. So we found that parented angry driver is the key factor, and we've got the measure for that. So certainly it would behoove any corporation, whether that's Uber or Lyft or trucking company, to certainly be putting their drivers through the road rage, the angry driving profile, the aggressive driving program that we have to give the drivers these profiles and then let them watch the DVDs and be trained in this. Why? Well, one is for the public safety, the safety of their drivers. And guess what? It cuts down on litigation, the litigation exposure. I was hired by the state of California, by the state attorney general for a lot of money as an expert witness. They were suing a trucking company. One of their drivers crashed his big rig into the state capitol building, incinerating himself, and this causing huge damage. They sued, the state of California sued that trucking company for $400 million. $400 million. Now, if they had been hired me or one of my agents that I've trained to do the profiles, to put them through the program, they would have cut their litigation exposure. They could say, we acted proactively. We screened for this. We saw who was at risk. We put them through special training by the world's leading authority, Dr. Nerenberg. We acted responsibly, so therefore there would have been very minimal exposure in terms of litigation, or none. So we've acted responsibly. So this would be tremendous value to anybody who has commercial drivers, enormous value in terms of public relations, safety of the public, safety of your drivers, and in terms of litigation exposure. It's a wonderful thing. So I'm going to go over some actual tests. We've gone over others today. We're going to review the Nerenberg angry driving, road rage, and aggressive driving profiles. And we have seven of them, including the parented angry driving. But the one we're going to do today is the impatient angry driving profile. We're going to review that with just some of the patients. I've given out many of these, over 100 probably, that we're just giving this to our patients here. And by the way, let me tell you something about angry driving, why it took me years to find the cure. And I'm going to give you the cure afterwards. You know why it took me so long to figure out the cure? Because angry drivers do not consider angry driving to be a problem. Let me say that again. Angry drivers, these are people who flip people off, scream at them, beep their horn at them, flick their headlights up and down, tailgate in retaliation, slam their brakes on to teach the tailgater a lesson, cut somebody off to teach them a lesson and retaliate. These people, you think they have a problem, right? They don't think that. So when I would try to tell me, you've got a problem, it's dangerous, you could get sued, you could get killed, that didn't stop them. Why? It took me years. And I'm a reasonably intelligent man. It took me years. The reason is they don't consider it a problem. They consider the problem to be those stupid drivers, those idiots. If they weren't cutting me off and going through the red lights and tailgating me, I wouldn't do this. Teach those idiots to behave respectfully and responsibly on the road, and I won't be screaming at them, flipping them off, putting my headlights up and down, all the things I do. I won't do it. But you reach those idiots. See the problem? Reach the idiots, Doc. They're the problem. I don't have a problem. So if you give a seminar, hey, come and see me if you have an angry driving problem, nobody's going to come. Nobody. I'm not going to come. Send those idiot drivers in to see you. They need the help. I wouldn't be screaming at them, doing all the things if they were just reasonable. But the idiots are doing all these stupid things. They're so stupid. I can't tolerate that stupidity. Nobody would come for the treatment. Nobody. So what I would, at the early days when I was trying to get people to buy in overcoming, nobody would. No, I mean, very few. Some people would, thinking, well, I don't want my children to get the problem from me, so maybe you got 3% say, yeah, okay, I'm going to try to do something about it. Maybe 3%. Maybe another 1 or 2% say, yeah, I don't want to have a lawsuit because if I participate in co-creating a collision, I can get sued. So between teaching the kids a problem and litigation, maybe 3 to 5% would say, yeah, I don't want to have this problem. 95% would say, I don't have a problem, and they wouldn't say, I want to overcome it. But I learned how to get 100%, and I would tell the audience ahead of time, 100% of you are going to agree to overcome this problem, and I found out how to do it. Dr. Nerenberg here found how to get 100% agreement from everybody on that they want to stop doing it. And you know what it is? 100%. And it's this. I say, do you want to give control over your anger, your emotions to those people you're calling idiots? Well, it's like putting a big sign on your car saying, I don't care if you're 17 or 77 or 107. I don't care what race, nationality, or religion you are. I'm going to make all of you make me into a raving lunatic. How many of you want to surrender control over your emotions and your anger to those people you're calling idiots? How many of you? Please raise your hand. Come on, raise your hand. You want to give it? Please, don't be embarrassed. Raise your hand. Guess how many would raise their hands? None. Then I would say, how many of you want to keep that control for yourself? 100% would raise their hands. Yes, I want to keep the control for myself. So then I say, okay, I used to call it a power thought. Now I call it one of the laws of honor. There's 4 commandments of honor, 25 laws of honor. It goes, I refuse to allow you to control my anger ever. I refuse to allow you to control my anger ever. So I would tell them, if you repeat that thought, I refuse to allow you to control my anger ever, once an hour for 3 weeks, you'll be cured. You won't surrender the control. Once an hour for 3 weeks. And that was the cure. And it took me years to find that. Certainly, it could be supplemented with a couple of other thoughts. It's nothing personal. People cut you off. It's nothing personal. It's not about you. They're just rushing somewhere. Nothing personal. Another one is one of the commandments of honor. which is I wish you well. But the main one is I refuse to allow you to control my anger ever. So one of the causes of angry driving is what I call impatient angry driving. You're trying to go from point A to point B, and this person's going too slow. You might be in the diamond lane, supposed to be moving along, the person's going 65, and they think they're doing the right thing because that's the speed limit, and you want to go 75 or 80, and they're slowing you down. Or you're getting somewhere else, and you need to get somewhere, and they're just slowing you down, and people get frustrated. So we call it the impatient angry driving profile. So let's look at here. We have the first question in this particular person. This is it's a female. It's a female. And so I say, the first question is, I get angry when drivers in front of me are going too slowly. So she's rated from 0 to 5. 0 is not at all. 1 is sometimes. 3 is medium. 5 is often. She gave it a 3. She gets angry. Now, being angry is not a problem. You could be going, oh, you idiot, you're thinking not bad, these thoughts. I call that road annoyance. Remember, angry driving is when you're showing you're angry. Beeping your horn, flipping the person off, flicking your headlights. Well, you're expressing your anger. The person knows you're angry. That's angry driving. The other is road annoyance. But the higher that is on question 1, the more angry they are, typically, then that energizes the expressions. If they do have anger, it'll energize it. It's an energizing factor. Okay, question 2. When drivers in front of me are going too slowly, I beat my horn at them. She gave it a 2, so it's more than sometimes she'll beep her horn. She beeps the horn, the person turns around, a couple other people turn around. You have enough people doing that, you have a collision. When drivers in front of me are going too slowly, I tailgate them, so she'll get real close, just really on them. And I know you've had this done to you. Well, heck, some of you have done it yourself to others. But I know you've had it done to you. Somebody's really right on you, just like seems like inches away. It's at night, the lights are blinding you on your mirror. You've had it. She gave it a 4. So, if anything's going to set somebody off in front of you, it's tailgate. It's one of the main causes of being in danger. The person will get. Some people will slam their brakes on that and teach you a lesson. You have a collision, the whole thing. So she gave it a 4. It's not just once in a while or medium. It's up there with offers between medium and often. When drivers in front of me are going too slowly at night, I flick my headlights up and down. You know how terrible that is? And the light's blinding right off your rear view mirrors. It's hitting your eyes, bouncing off. She'll flick her headlights. So she's tailgating them, putting her headlights up and down. And if you met her, she's a lovely girl. Lovely. Good mom, devoted. She has a son, devoted to her son, hardworking. 4. Flicking the headlights up and down. When driving in front of me going too slowly, I will hit the rear bumper. She never does that. But everything else, so she has a score of 8, 11, 13. Pretty high score. Pretty high score in terms of impatient angry driving. But let's look at whether she's a parented angry driver. Well, lo and behold, she is. I saw my mother or father show anger at other drivers on the road. She gave it a 3. So, a fair amount of time she saw them showing anger. As a child, I saw one or both of my parent figures showing obscene gestures to other drivers, such as showing them the middle finger. Gave it a 2, so it's more than just sometimes. So she witnessed one or both parents doing that. When growing up, I saw one or both of my parent figures beep their horns in frustration with other drivers. She gave it a 1. As a child, I witnessed one of both my parents looking at another driver and yelling curse words. Gave it a 2. So she saw the mother or father catch the eye of another driver, more than sometimes, and cursing at the person. So get their eye and then start cursing. As a child, I witnessed one or both of my parent figures flick the headlights up and down at night out of frustration with another driver. Gave it a 3. Well, that's what she does, right? One of the things she does is tailgate. Another thing she'll do to get her anger, she'll tailgate. Another thing she did was put her headlights up and down. Well, where do you think she got it from? See, it's the parented anger. The main factor is parenting. See, the way it works is this way. They're in the car with the parent. The parent wants to turn left. They put the signal left. They want to turn right. They put the signal right. Somebody's going too slow. They pass them and flip them off or beep their horn. That's just what you do. So they grow up thinking it's normal. Some kids react against that. I'm never going to do it. It's very embarrassing. A lot of kids think that's normal. You turn it this way to go left, that way to go right. You flip the guy off if he's done something you don't like. It's just normal. You go home, you have prayers over your food, you say your prayers. When you're driving, you flip people off. That's just what you do. You go to church. You go to church on Sunday. That's what they saw their parents do. I'm a churchgoer. My mother went to church. My father went to church. They flip people off driving, right after church sometimes. And, it's just, or at the temple, whatever. It's considered normal to the child. That's how you get 53% in this country being angry drivers. It's mostly due to the parenting. And then as a child, I witnessed one of both my parents stalking another driver, stalking somebody. That was just sometimes, but sometimes you just see, once in a while you see that's enough. So it's no wonder then this person has a number of angry driving profiles. Right now we're talking about impatient angry driving profile. Parented angry driver, just nice lady. Walt Disney captured that in a film, a cartoon he had in 1951. You had Goofy, just a model citizen, became demonic. Once he got on the road, demonic, showed road rage, screaming at people, beeping his horn. So Walt Disney understood it, made that cartoon about Pluto, model citizen, until he got behind the car. Well, the psychology goes like this. Within the human psyche is an urge to release our aggression on anonymous others when we feel justified. Within the human psyche is an urge to release our aggression on anonymous others when we feel justified. So that happens in warfare, right? You go somewhere, killing the guys, you feel justified, he's the bad guy. You don't know him, he's anonymous, and you're letting your aggression out. Same thing on the roads. You don't know the person. You feel justified, they just endangered you, they endangered your kids that are in the car. Feel justified, and you release your aggression. So that's the dynamic. It's been going on a long time. The first recorded case of road rage was thousands of years ago. The write-up of Oedipus, who was a prince in this one country in ancient Greece. The fortune teller said, you're going to kill your father and have children with your mother. He said, oh my God. So he ran from that kingdom in a chariot, went on the road, and this other chariot was coming the other way, and it was a road rage. He wasn't going to get out of the way. The other one wasn't getting out of the way. So he got out of his car with his sword, killed the other driver, and killed the passenger. That was road rage. Then he went to the other kingdom to escape what he thought was his destiny, his fate. The queen, his husband, had been dead. He married the queen, had children with her. And it turns out that king and queen, that king that was no longer alive, but that queen, turns out they were the real parents and that they were adopted by this other king and queen, so he ended up fulfilling the prophecy of having children with his mother and killing his father. But that's besides the point. The point is there was a road rage incident with the chariots. So it's been going on a long time. Now here's a man, and I get angry when driving in front of me or going too slow. He gives it a 4. He gets really angry. Again, that's energizing. He's not saying that he's expressing the anger. He just gets angry. That means it's really boiling up. So that means if he flips you off, he does whatever, it's going to be pretty energized because it's in him. So when drivers in front of me are going too slowly, I beat my horn at them. He gave it a 2, which is more than sometimes. I tailgate them. He gave it a 2. I flick my headlights up and down. He gave it a 2. So he's got a score of 810. Which is very high. It's extremely high on a impatient angry driver. And he had a parented angry driving problem. When growing up, I saw one of my parent figures beep their horns in frustration with other drivers. I gave it a 3. And then gave it a, sometimes I saw my mother and father show anger to other drivers. When growing up, I saw one of both my parents cutting in front of another driver because they were retaliating in anger as a 1. When growing up, I witnessed one or both of my parent figures tailgating very closely to the car in front out of frustration. Gave it a 1, so sometimes you would see that. As a child, I witnessed one or both of my parent figures flick their headlights up and down at night out of frustration with another driver. You saw that sometimes also as a 1. So here he is, a parented angry driver, and he's got an impatient angry driving profile. So we've got the test right here to measure that. The Nerenberg angry driving, road rage, and aggressive driving profile. And we have the 7 types: the parented, cut-off angry driving profile, tailgate angry driving profile, parking space angry driving profile, anger is directed at me, angry driving profile, impatient angry driving profile, parking space angry driving profile. And the parented, the mother of all of them, the parented angry driving profile, which tells you how much at risk somebody is to having these other angry driving profiles. Again, you take somebody before they get their license, you test them on how much they saw their parents showing anger on the road, you got a pretty good idea how this teenager is going to do. If you saw a high score on that, you need some extra help to make sure he or she does not manifest this on the road. Or if you're going to hire somebody and you see they have that, you had to just give them one test, you gave them the next test, you have an idea they're going to have some other angry driving profiles, typically. Not 100%, but typically. So you need to screen them out based on this one test, or you need to make sure you're exposing them to a good program. Everybody who scores on this one, above even a 3 or a 4, saying that you saw it some of the time, they're at risk. They need to go through a profile. If they give it 0 on everything on this, well, there are some people that give 0 to it they never saw. I never saw one of my parents show anger to another driver. I never did. I've seen my wife, so my children have seen one of their parents. They've seen my wife. But my kids, I don't believe, will ever do it. I mean, they don't like it. But my wife really, she used to let the person know she's doing it less. But remember one time somebody was behind us. We were about to get on the I-10. We're in Santa Monica. So we're about to get on the road. We're waiting at a light. The car in front of us stopped where we can't go. So somebody behind us keeps beeping on. My wife says, "Hey, what do you want? Hey, what? He kept going like that. I said, "Don't do that." I said, "I'm called America's Road Rage Therapist, and you're creating a problem here." Well, guess what happened? That car came beside us, and my 2-year-old daughter was in an infant seat in the back seat. The young woman took out a gun, pointed it at us, and then an older lady sitting next to her, just pushed the gun down like that, and they cut in front of us and went. Could have gotten shot. I mean, when we ask people, how many people, what percentage in Los Angeles do you think are armed? Nobody knows the answer. Some people say 5%, some will say 75%. But on the average, it's 35%. So people, on the average, think 35% are carrying a loaded gun. You'd think that would stop people. It doesn't. Won't stop them. The only thing that stops people from getting angry on the roads is what I told you. You want to give that control over your anger to those idiots. That's the only way. The idea of getting shot, killed, stabbed, rammed, sued, passing on a bad thing to your kids is very ineffective. Telling it's a wrong thing to do, you're a bad citizen, it's not good, you're a bad person, nothing doesn't have any effect, practically none. Hey, let's be nice on the roads, let's make America great again. We could be great, let's be nice. Doesn't do anything, nothing. You should be ashamed of yourself doing this to other people, old people, young people. Doesn't do anything. Do you want to turn control over your anger to those idiots? Now you're talking. Now you're talking. Do you want to turn control over your anger to those idiots? Now you're talking. No, I don't. I refuse to allow you to control my anger ever. That's the cure. Did it take me 1 day or 1 month? No, it took me a couple of years. I went down a lot of wrongs. So we've got a couple of profiles. I want to thank you. It's been went over a couple of the parented angry profiles. We saw what that did in terms of impatient angry driving profiles. It's been my pleasure, my privilege, and my honor to be able to present this to you with the goal of cutting down litigation exposure for companies, saving American lives on American soil, or saving Mexican lives on Mexican soil, or in any nation that we are, saving lives, period. Thank you so much.